investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Failed Prospects. Our collaborators were Tyler Hudak, Morgan Llewellyn, Oscar Rios, Jason Milichok, Zane Fleming, and myself, and I will be the keeper of the playtest, and this is episode 2. Our recap will be given by John Hook as his character, Dr. Coopersmith. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. John?
Personal Journal. Friday, October 19, 1923. I and my companions were summoned to West Haven, South Dakota by Dr. William Baker, the department chair for the College of Paleontology at the University of Cincinnati. Dr. Baker and his team had departed for the South Dakota dig in early October, where they apparently made a fantastic discovery. While Dr. Baker did not elaborate in his communique as to the nature of the discovery, he did request certain persons and fields of interest. Dr. Baker requested Professor Hall and myself from the Paleontology Department, Dr. Rathmore from Archaeology, and Dr. Harper from Biology. Unfortunately, Harper couldn't make the journey, but he did send his most promising grad student, a Mr. Phillips, in his stead. Mr. Zundel of the university's Department of Journalism is also in attendance to document this momentous occasion. Saturday, October 20th, 1923. We arrived in West Haven, South Dakota at 9 a.m., right on schedule. We quickly checked into the Penman Hotel. We expected to be met by Dr. Baker, but alas, he has not returned to town yet. After we checked in, we all set about to take in the sights of West Haven, a quaint community. During our check-in process, Mr. Penman, the hotel proprietor, let us know that one of the grad students with Dr. Baker had apparently seen the local town doctor due to an injury. So I took it upon myself to check with the doctor about the student's injury. Strangely, the doctor said it resembled both a second-degree burn and a frostbite. Apparently, the student reported it not being painful, just itchy. The other folks checked out the West Haven Free Library, Ma Peter's General Store, and the Hungry Jack Diner. We puttered around throughout the town the whole day long, but neither Dr. Baker nor any of his companions have arrived to meet with us. According to Dr. Penman, Mr. Penman, it's been a week since he's seen Dr. Baker. I took it upon myself to try and secure transportation and lucked out. I was fortunate enough to find a vehicle for rent at Harold's Garage. It's a rickety pickup truck, so we'll need to keep a close eye on it to ensure it doesn't completely fall apart on us. During the evening meal at the Hungry Jack Diner, we did see Mr. Penman's youngest son returning from a day of fishing. According to Penman, his youngest son knows just where Dr. Baker's first dig site is located. And with Penman's blessing, his young son is going to guide us to that location in the morning. The end.
All right. Thank you very much, John. All right. So it is now late afternoon, early evening in West Haven. Mrs. Penman has invited you to eat dinner with them. She's fixing fish that Matthew caught that morning, trout. And the hotel is nice and warm and friendly, and there's a fire in the fireplace as the temperatures outside are getting a little chilly. Not too bad, not uncomfortably chilly, just a little chilly.
Are we the only guests in the hotel?
Yes, you are. Except, well, Dr. Baker and his teams have rooms, but yeah. Professor Clive, you were going to say something?
Yes, okay, gentlemen. Since we haven't seen or heard from Dr. Baker yet, I hope you understand that as the eldest member of the staff, I'm in charge, responsible for your actions. I just want to remind you that we are representing the university, so be on our best behavior. Mr. Phillips, you especially, remember, you're representing your biology department and the doctor himself, so you at most must be on best behaviors. And since we will be driving out tomorrow, I suggest we go ahead and one of us go back to the general store to go ahead and get the provisions to take with us out to camp. Maybe they've had their car break down, so we can bring their supplies and enough for ourselves too. If you have any other ideas for the trip till the morning, speak up.
Yes, Professor Hall, we should definitely check. We should definitely check and see what equipment Dr. Baker left in storage here at the hotel. It may be something that either we could use or they might be able to need on the way out there. So in addition to getting supplies from the general store, let's bring that stuff too.
A good point, Mr. Coopersmith, but I did talk to Carl earlier, and he went back to check to see if there was any additional tents or supplies, and he did not find any. But yes, let's gather all what we think we'll need to take with us. And
I'm gonna go upstairs, and I want to go check out some of the rooms and see if there's anything they've left behind. I'm really curious to know if there's anything that we can get before tomorrow morning that'll actually help us for our actual sojourn tomorrow.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to go with you, Harold, if that's all right. Because in addition to whatever they've got in storage, you never know. They may have had something that is pretty vital in their room. So, it's not snooping. We're here to help.
I will join you too. I want to see if Henry left anything behind or whatever.
Well, the general store is probably going to be closing soon, so if I can get somebody to go over there, I'll use the phone here to call back to the university and let them know what's going on.
I'll join you, Professor Hall, but we should probably visit Mala before you make the call. The university will be open and she might close up.
Well, I suggest you go there. I've already met with her and given her an idea of what we need. So just review it. It should be what the Dr. Baker's already ordered, plus probably half of that for ourselves.
I wonder if she's got a wheelbarrow. Seems like a week's worth of food.
Well, you know what? If with Phillips and Rathmore searching the rooms or helping check those out, I'll go with Zundel then instead.
I'm sure she can have it ready in the morning for us to pick up in the truck. Just find out when she normally opens. Eggs and other stuff needing cold, we sure don't want to pick them up now.
Eggs don't need cold.
Just to clarify, I think we had the truck discussion after the game last week.
We did.
So for the listeners, what we kind of decided here was that Simon Harold at the garage does have a broken down thing that he's trying to fix up, so they have something in the morning. So they should have something in the morning to drive. All right, sorry, just wanted to interject that.
Well, yeah, so I guess the question is whether the only reason to shift things from the general store to the hotel would be to inspect them? Otherwise,
I don't think we need
in the truck.
I would say we wouldn't need to worry about that. We could go to the general store. We could pay for everything, make our selections, pay for it, and then she could just have it set aside so that we can pull up the truck and quickly load it in the morning.
Yeah, because remember, we're leaving really early in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, also, are we going on foot to follow Henry or are we taking him in the truck to show us where the first site was? I thought we were getting a tour from the boy.
Yeah, we're going to get a tour from the boy, but I guess we should have now in retconning. We would have asked if it's accessible by vehicle. What would he have said?
Because they had two trucks that they were taking out there.
Okay, so if Baker drove out there, we can drive out there.
And Matthew tells you that he used to sneak out there to take a look at what they were doing. That's what he was doing at first, and then they'd drive him home at the end of the day, unless it was a school day, in which case he wasn't allowed to go out there. But tomorrow is Sunday, so
Matthew Yeah.
I'm skipping church.
That's right. He's skipping church. So Matthew can guide us by road, so we don't have to walk.
Correct.
So okay. So Professor Hall's going to make some phone calls. Zundel and I are going to go to the general store, and Rathmore and Phillips are going to check out the rooms.
Yep.
Ready,
All right.
break.
All right. So we'll just get some of this out of the way. General store, she'll have this stuff ready for you in the morning. She's got most of it ready already. Actually, let me throw something in. Sorry, let's just say you arrived there. Let's do a little bit of a scene there. And the doorbell, the door rings as you walk in. There's a little bell on it. And she's like, howdy, folks. I've got most of your order together. Is there anything else you need?
Did Professor Baker have any oatmeal on the way out?
Well, I do believe we've got oatmeal.
I'd like to put in for a couple of pounds of oatmeal.
So she goes over, she says, sure enough. And she goes over and there's a big, a couple of big gunny sacks of oatmeal. And she's got one of those nice big metal scoops. And she gets a smaller bag. And you see her starting to scoop and she's like, what in tarnation is going on here? Oh, dear. And you see her dump what she's got back into the bag.
Yeah, I want to go and see what's going on. Is everything okay?
She says, we got mealy worms. Let me close this up. This is the oldest bag. She closes that up and she moves it over like to the back door where she's going to throw it out. And she opens up a fresh bag. And it's infected as well with mealy worms. Well, what in the hell is going on? These should not be this way at all. I must have gotten a really bad shipment. Eventually, when she gets to the very newest bag, it seems to be okay. And she gives you a couple of whatever you want, a pound or a couple of pounds.
Well, I greatly appreciate you checking that out.
She's quite miffed.
Dr. Coopersmith, I'm going to give Phillips the first bowl of oatmeal just to see.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Ma, I was just wondering, any critters or anything that we should be on the lookout for out there in the wilds? Anything that
Oh, you're going out into the wilderness? Well, it is wilderness. You're going to encounter deers and deer, and possibly bear. But this time of year is the time of year that bear usually have fattened themselves up and they're looking for a place to sleep through the winter. So you're probably not going to encounter any of those.
Are there skunks?
Oh yeah, they're skunks and I don't know if they're badgers. They're badgers, and there are possums, and there are beaver, and there are who knows what out there. And there's Indians.
Oh, well. Indians, that'll be fine, as long as there aren't any boogeymen out there.
Well, who knows what's out there in them woods.
I've never slept a night in the woods before. I hadn't thought on that. Ma, do you have peanut butter?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's get some peanut butter too.
Over here.
And what do you think about an axe, Dr. Coopersmith? You can help make fires.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should probably get 2.
Well, I put all that together, and I put together, got a couple of these tents.
Oh, wonderful.
But how well? I guess you're going out there to join the dig, so you don't quite know how far out you're going to go.
No, they say
not
it's
just
like
yet.
14 miles or so out between the ridges.
It's a drive. Hopefully that old clunker truck will make it okay.
Hopefully. Dr. Coopersmith, we should also get from Harold's, from here, we should get an extra 5-gallon of gasoline Maybe that's why they haven't come back. Maybe they're running out of gas.
Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll get a couple. Well, we'll get 2 jerry cans and fill them full of gas, and take those to Ma, if you don't mind.
I'll get that ready for you in the morning.
All right. Yeah, we'll have that in the morning.
And maybe kerosene for lamps too. A
Yeah, I think
smaller
that's
one.
already on the
for you.
list.
And what time do you open, Ma?
Oh, well, we don't open until 7:30.
All right. Well, we'll get to sleep in for a half an hour then. Which is
All
not
right.
going to be hard on me. I bet Byron snores.
Well, thank you, Ma. We really appreciate it.
No problem. All right, you guys leave. All right. Dr. Hall, you go to the phone to call the university. And who are you going to call, or where are you going to call?
We still
Department
have
head?
some professors, right, still left in the paleontology department, so I will start there.
Well, you
There's
got
probably a
Joanne.
secretary,
That's his secretary. Yeah.
right? She's still left there,
Yeah.
so call in,
Um,
ring the office.
Paleontology department, Cincinnati University. Can I help you?
Yes, is that Joanne?
Oh yeah. Hi. Yes.
Professor
this-
Hall here.
Oh, Professor Hall. How are you?
Good, good. We finally arrived. We're here at West Haven, but I thought I'd best report in. If you'll please take a note and pass along to the rest of the department and the university professor. We haven't seen Dr. Baker, and kind of thought that he would have at least sent somebody. So we're going to wind up having to drive out there tomorrow. I want to make certain to just coordinate with you in case he happens to call while we're out. We miss each other in the night. We'll leave a message here at the hotel, the same Pinman Hotel that the doctor called from before. So we'll keep them abreast of our location, and hopefully when the Dr. Baker does check in, we can get synced up. But right now, just make sure you tell the department we're here and we're heading out tomorrow on own transportation looking for him. We're having to start at the first dig, and we know that they've gone to further digs, but we don't know where. So we're going to have to do some backtracking or forward tracking.
Well, you know, the doctor, he gets very wrapped into what he's doing, but they should have definitely sent something. We sent a telegram, so they should have known when you were going to be there.
And I understand. I heard the same thing, and I know how absent-minded the doctor is. You do a great job of keeping him on track and on his schedule. I was expecting, hoping maybe the same thing from Victoria.
Well, and Dr. Tucker should have, you know how he is. He tends to be pretty conscientious.
Very detailed, yes, yes. But the ball was dropped, and whether they've got car problems, out of gas, we're not certain. We'll report the fact that there was one injured student. They brought him into the doctor here for treatment.
Oh, yes, we know about that.
Okay.
That was last week.
Yes, yes. We just found out about it. And hopefully we can take some additional medical supplies out just in case it needs additional treatment. But for right now, nothing more to report.
All right. Well, I will definitely, if he calls me or if I get a hold of somebody else, then I'll definitely give them the message and inform the university.
Sounds great. And just remember, Joanne, we'll just keep in communication from the hotel phone. If that goes out, we do have the telegraph office here. So one way or another, we'll get a message to you.
Yes, of course.
Have a good night.
You too. Right. And Byron and Harold, you are going up the stairs, and you get to the The rooms that you guys are in are like on either side, and then the ones kind of in the middle were Dr. Baker's room. There's 4 rooms that belong to him and the other members. They're locked.
I wonder if we can kind of jimmy the lock. I want to go to Dr. Baker's room, so I want to find out if he's left anything behind.
Well, you're not dead sure which one he's in. You know that he's in one of these.
Well, we could do that, or we could ask for keys, saying there's something important in. I don't know. We could try.
Well, if we ask for keys, we're going to ask why. Or we could try to...
Smooth talk. No.
Do you want to go downstairs and see if they have the keys? And I'm going to go stay up here and see if I can find any other way in.
Yeah, why not? If my plan doesn't work, maybe yours, hopefully yours will.
Okay, let's do that. And just give him the old student routine, right? Like tell him that, I need to get in there because I think Dr. Baker has something of mine, like a notebook or, I don't know, improvise.
Oh,
You're a good naughty boy. Make it up as you go.
I'll figure it out.
All right. You have rooms 9, 10, 11, and 12. These are the ones that they're in. Which one would you like to try first?
Let's go for number 9.
Okay. How are you going to try to open the door? You going to try to pick the lock?
Well, I'm gonna first jimmy it just real quick to see if I can actually, if it's just loosely closed or something like that, and if not, I'm gonna try to
No, it's locked.
I'm gonna try to pick the lock.
Okay.
Do I have lock picking?
It's on your sheet, but you might not have any points.
I have 1 in it, so that's why I've gone down to speak to someone.
Which one is it? I can't really.
It's alphabetical lockpick.
Oh, locksmith.
Yeah.
I'm pretty useless in it, but
Okay.
I did score a 10, and it's a 1.
Do you want to spend 9 points of luck?
Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and do that.
Open up a door that you could have asked a key. All right. Amazingly, you pop the lock open, and the door opens.
Great.
What you see is, of course, there's no light in there. You do have a light, so you flip on the light. The room is pretty much the same as all of yours. There is a large bed in the middle. You can see that there are a number of cases that probably have clothes in them. There are some dresser drawers that have had their stuff very neatly put away. The bed is perfectly made. The room is very clean. The first thing that obviously stands out in the room is tacked to the wall. Dr. Baker has a map.
Oh, so this is Dr. Baker's room, perhaps.
I've gone downstairs. We might need the keys anyway.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna take this map discreetly off the wall. First of all, I'm gonna close the door, make sure that it's completely closed, and then I'm gonna come back, take this, nicely off the wall.
Okay.
And then fold it up.
Okay. As you are, what do you do then?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna, kind of discreetly look around the room to see if I find anything else.
Okay. Get back to you in just a moment. So Byron, you go down the stairs.
Yep.
And Jonathan Penman is behind the counter, and he says, Mr. Phillips, what can I do for you this evening?
I'd like a favor. Well, I know that Dr. Baker, Professor Baker, he had some documents that we needed, and I don't know which room it would be in, and obviously I don't have a key. So
and he looks back and he says, well, Dr. Baker was in room 9, along with Dr. Stewart. Yeah.
I was wondering if you had maybe like a master key that we could check all the rooms, because
Well,
Obviously-
I do have keys to all the rooms, of course. The maid cleans, but it's not really proper, to let a person into another person's room while they're gone. Why do you need in there? You need papers. Where are your
Yeah.
professors?
Oh, they're doing other things. They're getting stuff prepared for where we're going tomorrow. So they tasked me with getting the papers from Professor Baker's room, and then checking on the other rooms to make sure nothing's missing of value from the other
Well,
students.
it's not really, our hotel's policy. If we let people in other people's rooms, then you'd never trust us to not let people in your rooms. Now, Professor Clive, you're just down here you just hung up the phone, so you hear this. What's going on?
Well,
Yes, Mr. Phillips, is there something wrong?
Well, your student here seems to want to get into Professor Baker's room.
and some of the other rooms as well, because obviously looking for some documents that might help us, and obviously, like you guys said, that we needed some help in finding out where exactly Baker's gone, and checking all the rooms might be useful. It's not like we don't know them. It's not like they're not strangers.
Well, that is a good point, Mr. Phillips. Jonathan, Phillips does make a good point. In fact, Dr. Phillips does have medication he's on, and he might have additional meds in his room that he intended to pick up tonight. So if you can, please give us a key to let us in the room to at least get that.
Why don't you do a persuade roll on him?
Do me.
I'll even give you a bonus persuade roll, because the medicine's a good point.
All right. Because of the bonus, I got a regular.
Okay. He says, "All right." He says, "But I'll come with you."
Oh, that's fine.
All right.
And if
So-
you will, bring the other keys along. Whether or not there's additional equipment that we need to look for, but at least start in the doctor's room.
All right.
I know Henry was on some kind of medication, so it'd be good if we could check his room as well.
All right. So the clock is ticking as these events are taking place. Harold, you're in the room, and you look over, and on the table, there are a couple of odd bones, and there is a large, oddly shaped rock that looks like it's either got scratched designs in it, or it's painted, or it's something. It's very odd looking. You've never seen anything like it immediately. Now, my artwork, I don't have the bones, but I've got this. So this is kind of where we were going with it. And it's sitting there with the bones.
How big is it?
It's about, hand size, maybe so big.
So I'm gonna take it and then put it in my pocket.
Okay. And do a spot hidden roll for me.
No, 99. Eek.
All right. And as you are there, you can hear somebody coming up the stairs outside.
So I'm gonna quickly, as I hear that, I'm gonna quickly go into. I presume there's a bathroom in the room.
Well, we discussed that. The bathrooms are going to be down at the end of the hall.
The hall.
wouldn't
So
have
is there?
bathrooms in the room? There is an armoire.
Yeah, I will get myself into the armoire for
All right.
sure. By
There
instinct, as an archaeologist, I would do that anyway.
There are some clothes and jackets and things hung up in there that are probably Dr. Baker's and Dr. Stewart's. And it's not crowded. So you get in there, and do a luck roll to see if you make no noise.
Okay. Hold on. 17, yes.
All right. So you won't make any noise. Professor Clive and Byron, you get to the top of the stairs, and Mr. Penman unlocks the door, and he opens it, and he's surprised that the light's on. And he's like, huh, we must have left this on. I'm going to have to talk to Rebecca about that, the maid. Well, look around, see what you need. Now, gentlemen, what you see is the same thing he saw, minus the map. No map on the wall, and nothing sitting on the. You just grabbed the stone, right?
I just grabbed the stone, so the bone will be there.
You see a couple of bones on the table that look rather unusual.
Mr. Penman, do you know which room Mr. Bates was in? One of his students?
Well, it's downstairs. I'd have to go check. But it's going to be one of these 4.
Because I could do with seeing if he's left his medication or anything. It'd be useful if he has any spare here to take it with us just in case.
Well, give me a moment. I'll go find out which one he was in, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
So he walks downstairs.
So while he's gone, I will go ahead and look in the desk itself. I'm obviously looking at the bones that are on the table itself, but I'm also pulling up the drawer to see if there's anything else inside the desk drawer itself. The nightstand, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, no, there's actually a little desk, a little writing desk.
Okay.
There are some pieces of stationery. There's a pen. There is what you'd expect. Same thing that's in your room. In case you need to write something down or something, there's a few pieces of stationery with the Penman Hotel logo on the top of it. Do a spot hidden for me. Phillips, what are you doing?
Well, I'm waiting for Penman, but I'm also keeping an eye out for him. So
you're by the door.
So in extreme.
Okay. You look down and you notice a crumpled up piece of paper in the trash can next to the thing.
Expected him to have written some kind of note or reminder for himself, since he is a little absent-minded. So I reach in and pick it up to read it.
Okay, so you unfold it.
Dear Mr. Penman, I would like to thank you and your family for hosting us in your hotel. The accommodations are very comfortable and the rooms are clean. I do have a small matter to bring up, as I can appreciate raising children. I have 2 of my own back in Cincinnati. Your youngest son, I believe I heard your wife call him Matthew, has been following us out to our dig site. This, and in of itself, is not a problem, but he has been throwing rocks at some of my colleagues. So far, no one has been injured, but please ask him to stop. I know that boys will be boys, and it's just a bit of mischief.
Now, hearing all this, I'm going to emerge from the from where I'm staying, or I'm.
Okay, you're suddenly startled by the armoire opening by itself.
I do that on purpose. I'm like, okay.
I actually rolled a 16 on whatever you needed, so it would have been a success. I was
fright.
Woo!
What the?
Well, it's not that much of a fright.
Dr. Rathbone,
bit of a
what
surprise.
are you doing in there?
Well,
Now, about the time that this is happening, Dr. Coopersmith and Marcus, you arrive back at the hotel as you see Jonathan Penman checking his register. And he's like, oh, welcome back, gentlemen. Your friends are upstairs. They wanted to check to retrieve some medication from Dr. Baker's office and a few other things. So he says, and dinner will be ready in about a half an hour.
Thank you, Mr. Penman.
And he walks back up, or he starts to walk back up the stairs.
Mr. Penman, I was wondering, can we make a request for a 6:30 wake up? and we really appreciate you. I realize it just seems like common sense that it would be not regular policy to open up another guest room, but we really greatly appreciate you doing that, especially since they've been gone for over a week. There could be something vital that they need that they have not been able to return for whatever reason.
I understand. It's not normally our policy, but you were all from the same place, so you don't look like bandits.
Your accommodations are greatly appreciated. We do appreciate that.
He chuckles and he goes back up the stairs. And
there's a fireplace downstairs.
Yeah, why not?
Are there bookshelves?
No, the books are all over at the library.
Darn. Well, I'm going to go sit by the fire.
All right. So you're going to sit by the fire. What are you going to do, Dr. Cooper Smith?
I guess I will I'll go to my room to relax and wait for dinner.
All right. So you're following Penman up the stairs.
Yes.
And you see that he goes to the room and steps inside. He notices, Harold, that you're there, but he doesn't really acknowledge it because he knew you were here somewhere. Figured you were in your room and you just came over. So he says, yeah, Harold's room is 2 doors down.
Could you take me to it?
Sure.
And you can open it up if you want. And
all right. He opens it up and it's the same as all the other rooms. There's some clothes. But other than that, you don't find anything.
Okay.
So did he leave Harold and myself in Dr. Baker's room?
Yeah, Harold and Clive and Harold, you are together in the room. Dr. Cooper, you see that they're in the room. Do you just go to your room, or are you going to join them? Or
no, I'll pop in, especially since Baker is part of my tribe,
right?
And step in and go, gentlemen. What do we have here? Is everything in order? Is there anything that we need for our journey tomorrow?
Well, and on cue, I pull out of my pocket the actual rock, the croissant rock.
Oh my, that's very interesting.
Now, would I be able to kind of now that we're all together and there's no pressure, I want to take a closer look at it. With my archaeological background, would I be able to discern anything about it?
Go ahead and roll archaeology.
Dr. Coopersmith, I must point out that our good Dr. Rathmore has finally come out of the closet.
Rather a
you've always had a good sense of humor there, Clive. I got a 16, so that's kind of a hard pass.
Well, it definitely has some sort of glyph on the end of it. You know that you're in Native American territory, so to speak. And I believe that somebody told you that, you find arrowheads and things all over the place in this kind of an area. But you've never seen anything quite like this before. It's an odd size and shape. Maybe some sort of a totem or a
I'm showing it to everybody. Can we see it again?
Sure.
So I want to ask the keeper a question.
Mm-hmm.
My character is in my background. Actually, my mother is Navajo, so I have some Native American background. Do you think I might be able to leverage my history skill in focusing on Native American lore to see if that unusual glyph makes any sense? I'm stressing that as opposed to something like occult.
Yes, you can try.
Okay.
That works. Dr. Rathmore, do a, we'll call it, there needs to be one other thing on our skill list that we should talk to.
Anthropology?
No, something more akin to notice something. I guess we got spot hidden, but that does imply your eyes. We'll call this something like spot hidden. So use your spot hidden for it. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dr. Cooper Smith.
No, my history was a negative. It doesn't seem to remind me of anything. At least, certainly nothing of Navajo
No.
history that I may be familiar with.
It certainly has the ring of something primitive.
Okay.
But,
So I made my roll. Mine's a 49.
All right.
Out of
As
65.
you were holding the rock in your hand, you notice that it's cold. And at first, when you picked it up, it's heavy and it's cold. A rock is cold. A rock is a little bit colder than the average, the room temperature itself. But now you're starting to notice it, that it's actually colder than the room itself. And the longer you hold it, the more uncomfortable you switch it to your other hand, you know. And you're doing this.
Is it burning?
No, not really, but it's definitely cold. And you find yourself transferring it from hand to hand just for comfort before you even realize what you're doing, you know. And then you're starting like, oh, it's cold.
Yeah, in fact, I would have supposed that Professor Hall and I might notice that and ask him, like, Rathmore, is everything all right? You seem to be juggling that.
I'm gonna hand it over. I'm like, does this feel very cold to you?
That's so unusual.
Yeah. At first, when you put it in your hand, it's not so cold, but you do notice that it's chilly, and it seems to be the colder the longer you're holding it. And Dr. Cooper Smith, do a paleontology roll.
I will spend the 6 luck to make that a standard success.
Okay. You suddenly sort of hold it up closer and you're looking at it, and you're looking at the overall shape of it, and you're sort of looking past the glyph and past the design that's been carved into it at the substance of it itself. And it suddenly dawns on you that this might be a coprolite. Dino.
It might be. Say that again.
It's a coprolite. Dinosaur poop.
Okay. All right. Well, corpulite. Nice. Interesting. Okay. And I explained to Rathmore what that is, since Professor Hall would know instantly as I say corpulite.
Yeah. Interesting. Why don't you guys hold on to it for a while?
Dr. Rathmore, I did notice these other bones that are on the table here. This must have been the articulated fingers that we had heard about, the opposable thumbs. What do you make of this?
No, these are not hand bones. These look like bits of spine, maybe, and they look like they've been freshly dug up.
You guys would probably know better than I would. I'll take a quick cursory look from an archaeological point of view, but this is more of a paleontologist.
Yeah, the archaeologist wouldn't tell you anything about it.
Wouldn't do anything, yeah.
Well, I would think the archaeologist might have a little bit more of the anthropology background too.
Yeah, he'd have more about the American Indians and about stuff that, like the rock, carvings of the rock. But why don't you do a paleontology roll?
A regular.
Okay. Your guess, and it's not much to go on, you know, but maybe something in the definitely from a theropod, which would be a dinosaur like T-Rex that walks on 2 feet instead of 4. Not a very big one, but it's definitely got the kind of articulation spurs on it that you'd expect from something that walked semi-upright. Like a
So
T-Rex.
small, so I'm assuming something from arm or a leg?
From the back. It's definitely a vertebra.
Okay, so lower tail section area, since these
Maybe,
are so
yeah.
small on his desk. Okay, recent dig here, so obviously he's found something out there.
Right. Can we, based on, do you have a handout? I don't think I saw the bones.
No, I don't have the bones drawn yet.
And how can you describe them again? How many bones are there?
There's just a couple of bones. There's two. There's two
just
vertebra.
All right. Can we, may I use paleontology to try, or is this what Hall just did, try and extrapolate how large of an animal this came from?
You'd need more bones. And the vertebra wouldn't be sufficient. If you were to find a femur, then you could easily determine
Sure.
how big the thing was. Yeah.
Okay.
But this is a little more tricky.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. So very cool. Yeah. Theropods. There's a lot of variety in theropods, and most of them were predatory carnivores. Very interesting.
Yeah, the other digs that I've familiar with over in western Nebraska were more quadrupeds that were more vegetable plant eaters.
Yeah, the sauropods. Yeah. Does at this time period South Dakota and this region have a reputation for a certain class of dinosaur? Do they typically find certain types in this zone, or does this seem like it might be something new, like a new discovery?
This area of South Dakota would be fairly new. Most of the digs that would be going on would be over in the Badlands. You know, and there's tons of stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can guess that Dr. Baker found something at the university that had probably been collected by somebody, an amateur, and all he had was South Dakota. Now he's been digging and he's found these. If you're talking about a sauropod with opposable thumbs, that's a big deal. It could be a whole new species.
Oh wow, this is very exciting. Yeah, boy, it's going to be difficult to sleep then tonight. You know, waiting to get up and get our gear and hit the road. It's going to be like a kid on Christmas Eve.
But we have to remember he's moved on, so we're going to have to start at site 1 and go from there.
Oh, right. That reminds me, by the way, and I pull out the actual map and I show it to everybody.
Okay,
I've got
just as you're about to pull that out, you can hear Mr. Penman and Byron. There's nothing in that room. Coming back from the room, and you can tell by the look on Penman's face. He's like, "All right, you guys are lingering a little bit too much in Dr. Baker's room. You've got his medication. Get out." So. He's being very polite and friendly about it.
Let's carry this conversation downstairs before I pull it out.
All right, gentlemen, please.
I take the bones with me,
and I give Penman 50 cents in appreciation for his flexibility in allowing us to check out our colleagues' room before heading out to meet them.
Are you going to take the bones right in front of Penman?
No, in fact, the bones should stay.
He did see them.
Yes, I was. I was picking them up.
Well, would you please, you should put those back. Those belong to Dr. Baker. They'll be safe where they are.
I understand they're safe here, but these will help him out at the dig in order to compare new finds. If he can match ones that
he brought those back from the dig. So.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
And when was that?
That was last Saturday.
Oh, that recent then. Oh, that's good to know then. Well, thank you very much. And I put them back.
All right. All right, gentlemen. Dinner will be served in about 15 minutes. And thank you very much. If you need anything, please call me. And he goes back downstairs with the keys.
Thank you for letting us check out. I shout as he goes down.
Yeah, thank you very much. All the pleasantries.
All right. So you guys are upstairs alone. You can hear her doing the dishes downstairs, apparently.
Should we get Marcus as well before we guess anything?
Well, he's downstairs by the fire. He's smelling the delicious food that's cooking.
I brought a mystery novel or two as well.
Do we want to go downstairs?
She's setting the table.
So, Dr. Coopersmith, you did arrange for us to pick up the truck. I understand that we've already got Matthew. We're supposed to be taking him out before 7 o'clock so he can get back after church.
Right. Maz will open at 7:30, so I'm gonna get up at 6:30, and I'll pick up the truck, and we'll gather everyone, and yeah, we'll be able to hit the road a little after 7:30.
Then we need to tell Mr. Penman, ask if Matthew, update the time and see what he has to say about Matthew joining us.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think it's
Penman-
already clear. He's not going to go to church. Besides, nobody would be at church before 7 a.m. So,
No. Church is probably around 10.
right.
Okay.
So, but yeah, he's already given him clearance, so it'll be fine. It'll be a day-long trip anyway. So,
Penman told you that when you asked him about the wake-up call, what he's going to do is he'll knock on your doors at 6:30.
that's what I was expecting. Yeah, just if he could
Right.
do a wake-up call at 6:30.
If only we didn't need to take that kid along with us. If we had a map of our own. Just a pity we don't have a map of the dig sites. I need to take this kid along.
Marcus is just yelling stuff downstairs at the fireplace.
Coming downstairs. Yeah, I'm
So-
talking to the fire.
Yeah.
Why
So
don't we go get Marcus, and then we can go to one of our rooms. Like me and Marcus are in room 3, so we can go there.
So I'm not sure what time we're going to go down. If we're going to go down before dinner or whatever. But if I'm with Dr. Coopersmith and Hall, I say, like, I want to pull them aside because obviously they would have more knowledge about this, and then we can kind of plot this out. So maybe before we get down to the actual dining hall,
Right.
pull them into my room and actually open up the map and say, like, here's what I got from the room, by the way.
I'm not saying Phillips is smart enough to understand a map. Okay, I see how it is.
All right. So you go into your room and you open up the map that was on the wall. It's actually a fairly large piece of paper, and he was obviously taking notes on it. From just a glance, you can guess that he was using the squares as mile markers. So each square is about a mile. Why don't you read it, or read what you find on there that seems interesting?
So I'll just go ahead and read the chronology here. Arrived in West Haven, October 2nd, arrived in West Haven. October 3rd, Site 2, Peppercorn Ridge, Red Butte. October 7th.
Site 1.
Sorry? Oh, sorry, Site 1.
Right.
October 7th, Site 2, edge of Corbel Creek. October 10th, moving to the next site. October 11th, Site 3, Odd Stones, Ridged Vertebrae. October 12th, return to West Haven for supplies, contact the university. October 13th, moving to Site 4, inside Sika Hollow. So, gentlemen, he made it all the way out to what looks to be Site 4, and that is probably where he is or probably his last whereabouts with the whole team, I would think.
Yes, yes. Excellent find.
The question now that is before us is tomorrow morning, do we want to go out to Site 4? Just straight shot and skip all the other sites? Or what do you guys think?
I mean, it seems like it may be just as expedient to simply follow the sites in sequential order. We could give them a quick look-see as we go through and as we make our way to Site 4.
Oh, that's so boring.
I disagree.
I have a thirst for adventure. I want to go straight to Site 4.
And I agree with Dr. Rathmore. Because Dr. Baker was not here as expected, I suspect something wrong. And I'd say at least go there first. We can always backtrack.
Agreed.
Right. Do you want the map anymore, or can we dump it?
I think we're good.
By the way, as they're having this conversation, as Rathmore decided not to include Phillips, I went to speak
Well, you're
to
just a
Marcus.
measly little biology student, so, you know.
I went to speak to Marcus. I went downstairs.
Any luck up there?
Well, they're being secretive. I don't like it. They're meant to treat, especially me, as I'm representing the biology department, they're meant to treat me as an equal, and here they are, not even letting me in on their secret meetings.
You know, that's academia.
Well, they're all assholes.
Do they at least know where we're going tomorrow?
I have not a clue. I saw some bones up there. I didn't really see much else.
Oh, they should have gotten me to take a picture of the bones. You're right. They're just not treating us like grown-ups at all.
Nope. No, they're not.
We'll show them. I at least got some axes from Maz, so we'll have something to kill time with while they have their secret little meetings.
Yeah, they're probably going to be reckless as well, you know. I don't like that Rathmore. He's a bit of a...
What's the matter with him?
He's too secretive.
Well, I imagine we'll all be stuck in small tents together, and there won't be secrets for long. Gosh, I hope we didn't order a lot of beans from Ma.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Did you ever sleep in a tent in the woods before?
Oh, yeah, I have done back when I was from my small town. Yeah.
I've never been more than 10 miles outside of Cincy myself. Is it scary?
I grew up in a small town, so I'm used to it. It is a little bit scary on your first, rodeo out there, but after a while, it's kind of peaceful, that kind of stuff.
I hope it's all right. I hope the
I
truck
hope we
doesn't
don't
break
get
down.
attacked by any bears or anything.
Bears. I was thinking about skunks. Can you imagine?
Skunks are skunk at the end of the day.
It
They'll
reminds me.
smell
I wonder.
before.
We should all. I should get on the line early for the baths. Who knows how long the hot water lasts in a place like this?
Yeah,
I don't
true.
want to be out there for a week and dirty on top of it.
Well, apparently we're gonna eat in 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, I've been
Yes,
hearing
yes,
it. Hearing the cooking.
Can we smell food from here? That's what that.
Oh yeah, you can smell it.
It smells real good. Yeah.
Let's get in ahead of them.
Yeah.
We can get the nicest piece.
Exactly. Let's
Right.
go.
When the two of you wander into you can see that the table is set, and there does seem to be some unusual ruckus coming from the kitchen, and you hear Mary's voice, Mary Penman, and she says, "Well, I just don't know what I'm going to do." She says, "I don't understand it." He says, "Well, we'll just find something else."
How does the trout smell?
Well, you You're not sure you smell any trout. Fresh trout wouldn't smell much at all. But are you going to go into the kitchen?
I will, if I heard them.
We can nose over there without barging in.
All right.
Is it a double door or a single wooden door?
It's a single door. It's a single door.
Okay, we would like maybe put our ears against.
All right. Well, I mean, it's one of these, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
It only sat high above the ground, so
Oh,
you
okay.
can see your feet if you walk up there. And if you poke your nose in there, you can see she's upset about something, and he's trying to reassure her, but they're sort of scrambling to find something to cook, and you can see in the trash all the fish has been thrown out.
I'll actually shout in. Is everything okay in here?
She's you're gonna shout at them. They're like 3 feet from you.
No, I'm not gonna shout. I'm gonna quietly.
That's very English of you.
Mr. Penman turns around and he says, "Yes, everything's all right. We seem to have had some problems with the fish.
What kind?
They seem to be diseased or something. They don't."
You know, when we were down at the general store, and Ma had to open and throw out a whole bunch of oatmeal because it all spoiled. It all had weevils in it.
No, she must have gotten a bad batch from the. I've heard a couple of complaints from other people, and.
What do you mean?
Is there like a season around here where things are?
No, this is really the first time it's happened before.
Wasn't it fresh?
Yeah, it was fresh caught this morning.
Is it all right if I have a look?
Sure. Do your biology roll.
Come on.
Prove your worth.
These aren't trout; they're squid.
Where's my? Okay, I've got 65 in biology. Come on.
See, he's good for something.
58. 58.
At first glance, you would say these things have been dead for a week, that they're literally rotting.
What the frick?
They don't look fresh at all. And
These are the same ones we saw Matthew come back with?
Yeah, the same ones.
Marcus, I kind of quietly say this. Marcus, they look like they've been off for about a week. They don't look like they've been fresh at all or anything like that.
Mr. and Mrs. Penman, do you have runoff in the stream or something from where there used to be mines?
No, everything.
Because sometimes it can spoil the water.
No, Matthew goes fishing almost every morning early and brings us back nice fish. It's never had this trouble before. Matthew? And he comes, yes'm. And she's like, did you go fishing in the same place you always go? Yes'm.
This sounds like a weird request, but could I, like, dissect? Is it right if I use one of your tools to dissect the fish?
Well, sure, but actually she's already cut them open.
Oh,
it was
sure,
when she was cutting them open and gutting them that she realized.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So she was
they were icky.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of have a better look inside them.
All right. Yeah, it's putrefaction. It's like they're rotting.
Nothing else out of the ordinary, other than I know that's a bit out of the ordinary if they're fresh. But...
No, there's no. I mean, the only thing you could guess is that these were not those fish. That these were fish that had been lying around in the sun for, well, not necessarily the sun, but exposed to the air for a couple of days at least. They're squishy like they're, the parts of the skin are almost translucent because it's icky.
No.
I'm going back to the fireplace.
This is weird.
Folks, we'll have something to eat soon.
It's fine. You take your time. You take your time. We're in no rush. This is odd. This is really odd. Damn.
Well, if I understand if you folks are hungry, you might try the Hungry Bear next door. Hungry Bear?
Hungry man?
Hungry Jack. Hungry Jack.
Hungry Jack.
Hungry
Yeah,
Jack.
You know what? Yeah, If it'll make it easier on you, we can definitely go eat over there if it'll be easier on you.
Well, they definitely look embarrassed. And as you guys are coming out of the kitchen, what are the other three doing? Are you coming down the stairs, or are you still upstairs?
We would have been coming down, getting ready for
Yeah.
supper.
So
Well,
you're
we were actually in my room, so
Right,
we were already
but-
downstairs.
by this point you're coming. Okay. So as you're walking out of your room, you notice them coming out of the kitchen, shaking their heads.
Mr. Zundel, if you can come over for a private chat, just over here by the fireplace.
You're in
Sure thing,
trouble.
Chris.
It's not me, Byron. It's just not me.
Marcus, I happened to find this note in Dr. Baker's room, and he speaks of young Mr. Matthews throwing stones at the other members of the dig. I thought with your photography and youth, you'd have a better chance of communicating with Marcus. If he's
With
been
Matthew?
Matthew.
with Matthew, if he's been following the dig team and almost there every day long, surely he's seen a lot that they've uncovered, heard a lot of their conversations. Maybe you'd have a good chance of kind of interviewing him, kind of picking his memory of what he's seen and heard.
I can give it a try. I know he was just answering his parents in the kitchen.
Yeah, use your camera to kind of encourage him that he's going to be in the news about it. That might help him to open up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll give it a try. Meanwhile, the trout's off, and I mean off. So it looks like dinner is over at Hungry Jack's after all.
What happened with the fish?
And like I said, it's off. It looks like, we saw him coming back with it, and it looked fresh. But
Yeah.
whatever they were cooking up looks like it's been frozen, thawed, and left in a dusty room for a week. That's really off.
That's odd. When I was at Ma's earlier today, there was a customer that came in, Betty, I believe, and she was talking about spoiled rotten eggs.
Well, that's what I told Mrs. Penman, because when we were just there, I wanted some oatmeal, and Ma had to open up, 4 or 5 different bags because they all had weevils in them. I asked if the town had like a rot season, and they said they'd never seen the like, but it seems like everything's off. It does seem warm for this time of year. Maybe they're just having, fungus or something.
Strange
But
to
weevils
me.
is different than fungus. Anyway, I left my camera by the fire. I'll call Matthew and see what I can do. Order me a steak and potatoes, and I'll be over there.
Sounds good. And we'll get Mr. Phillips involved and let him know. We do have a map, so at least we know where we're going.
You got a map?
Yes, Dr. Rathmore found one. So,
All right.
but I think,
Does that mean we leave the kid home
Yeah.
tomorrow?
well, if you have a chance to interview him tonight, that may allow us to leave him at home tomorrow. Otherwise, it'd be good to bring him along and we can question him on the trail.
All right, I'll see what I can get. And I go and knock on the kitchen slider.
Okay.
And now I'm back to the group.
All right. All right. So let's do the rest of you. You guys are all together in the lobby at this point. What are you going to do? Marcus is going into the kitchen.
Well, I'm going to speak to these three because I want to confront them. So, right. Right, guys. I just want to say one thing. Like, I know you're able to have your secret meetings or whatever, but I'm here representing the biology department. At least have a chance for some input, or at least know what's going on, because I am here representing the biology department. I may not be a fancy professor or doctor like you guys, but I might not have your fancy degree, but I am working my way towards that. At least like some input in this. At least some more involvement. Not keeping in the shadows.
I'm sorry, Mr. Phillips. We weren't trying to keep you out of the conversations with Jonathan walking around. I just thought it best if we chatted with who was there, and we could fill you in on what the conversation was. But I do look for your input on this. You are a member of the team and a valuable member indeed. So whatever you can provide, any brainstorming ideas, they are all welcome. This is your
And a good
opportunity
strong
to shine.
back to help load the truck in the morning.
Yes.
Here, here.
Just
So
fortuitously, as you say that, you hear the sound of a jalopy pulling up in the front of the hotel with a loud bang as the spark or the engine gives a bang sound, and you see Simon Harold getting out, dusting himself off and coming up to the door.
I'll definitely go to greet him.
Okay. He opens the door and he says, Dr. Cooper Smith. I think
Simon,
she'll do
good
okay.
to see you again.
Yeah, I think that she'll do okay. Hopefully you won't have too much trouble with her. She's old, 1910. Mack truck. But she should keep you safe.
All right. And maybe you could show me the vehicle. Maybe let me know what are some of the problem areas that you're aware of that I should keep a close eye on.
Gotcha. And he'll take you right outside and he'll go over it. He'll open up the hood and he'll show you, the wire that he's using to hold that together, and he's the string holding this together. And he shows you the visor that comes down and has a little mirror on it so that you can see yourself.
Ooh, that's very fancy.
Yeah, really. And the automatic doors where you put your hand on the handle and you do this and they go up and down. Oh, I better check and see if that actually was something that they had. All right. So you guys, you've got the car outside ready for you when you're ready to go.
Okay.
Mr. Phillips, wasn't that your jalopy that I used to hear on campus? I'm sure you've got some skills on getting some of these cantankerous old beasts running.
Yeah, I can. I'm good. I'm okay at driving and but not so good at the repairing side. But I can give it a go if we need to on the way.
All right. Marcus, you go into the kitchen. Now,
I told the props that we should go eat at Hungry Jack's, so you don't have to worry about a thing tonight.
Well, we're very sorry.
Anyway.
We're very sorry. We would like to have a meal with you before you go.
Well, hopefully you can celebrate when we come back. And I bet we'd all like, coffee and flapjacks before we hop on the truck tomorrow morning.
Well, we'll break that. We'll do that tomorrow morning. Coffee and flapjacks.
I was gonna. Is Matthew still awake?
Oh yeah,
Was he gonna eat with us?
And he comes in. Yes, Paul.
I was gonna show him my portable camera and ask him what he's noticed about watching the fella dig so far, and then he can go to church tomorrow with the rest of you. All
right, Matthew. Here, this nice young man wants to show you his camera. What's a camera, Paul? Says it takes your soul and it puts it in a piece of paper.
Traps it forever.
Traps it forever.
Did we decide that we're not going to take him though? I thought we were going to take him on with us tomorrow.
All the way to Site 4?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just learned there was a map, so I'm being a little bit fancy.
Yeah.
But
No, my comment was if
the original plan was for him to show us Site 1.
Right. And my comment to Marcus was if he could get the information Matthew of what he had seen and overheard, then that's enough for us to go ahead and press on without him.
All right. Well, at this point, he's in the kitchen and you're in the living room. So he said what he said. He said, "Oh well, you can. Why don't you sit there at the end of the table and show him the camera and stuff." All right. So what does this thing here do?
So if you want to get your fishing pole, I can take a picture right here under the light.
I'll get it. He runs and he comes back with his fishing pole.
Very nice. Stay still. All right.
Oh,
Now-
my soul, my soul.
Now,
Matthew.
see, this part here is curved like my glasses, and the light goes in there, and then there's a glass plate inside here that I have to keep in the dark because the light from you and the fishing pole, and I go on from, until his eyes glaze over a little bit. And I say, so, it's my job to make sure that I record all the things that happen so that when there's a book published about all the neat dinosaurs they found, you know what dinosaurs are, right?
Well, them Dr. Baker and his people were saying that they're big lizards that live out in the mountains, and he said that there's all dead.
Yeah, millions and millions of years dead. If your great grandpappy's great grandpappy was here, they were already dead. That's how long it's been. And that's why they turn into stone. Now, you were watching them dig. Did they find anything interesting that you saw?
Well, they found a couple of bones, but that's about all. No, actually, I'm sorry. Take that back. No, not really.
Mm-hmm.
But they were digging.
What was interesting about watching them dig?
I don't know. I like a digging.
Right. You don't see a lot of strangers around here either, I guess.
Nope. They had all these flat rocks.
Flatter than usual?
I think they called them shale.
Mm-hmm.
They was looking in. But they was telling me all sorts of things. They said they was hoping to find a whole new animal out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the hope. That's what make this whole town famous. If they find a new kind of animal out there. Did they do anything to make you angry?
Oh no,
they were pretty
really
friendly
nice.
with you.
I walked out there the first days, and then they took me in their truck.
Oh, we're gonna go in a truck tomorrow.
Dr. Tucker was the coolest one. He's really funny.
What was he like?
Oh, well, you probably know. He's got a sense of humor.
Goofier than most.
He's a bit of a prankster.
Matthew seems a straightforward child to me. I think I'm more suspicious of Professor Baker's note that I saw than I am of him. Should I roll psychology just?
Why don't you? Did he show? Clive showed you the
Mm-hmm.
note. Do a knowledge roll.
21. That's a hard success.
Oh, hard success. It suddenly dawns on you that Dr. Baker didn't finish that letter. He crumpled it up and threw it in the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So he never gave it to Mr. Penman.
Right. So maybe they thought the boy was throwing stones, but it was something else that was happening.
Well, and then maybe he changed his mind before.
Right. Well, Matthew, thank you very much for this conversation. And when it's going to be a little while till we have these pictures, but I'll make sure you get a copy of yourself with your fishing pole.
Cool.
And you can always remember what you looked like when you went out fishing for trout.
Neat.
We're going to leave in the morning, and I hope we'll have a brand new animal to show you when we come back.
But you don't need me to go with you?
No, because we needed help to find where they started digging, But now it turns out that there is a map that shows they went way far out.
Yeah, but how are you going to find where they start? Where they go? There's no road.
Well, I mean, there's got to be a big enough road for 2 trucks to go down. There's
Well,
going to be ruts and.
They was just driving across the countries out towards the ridge.
Oh, I see.
But I could show you where they started.
How far away are they from everybody else? Are they in earshot?
They're in the dining room that's attached to the kitchen.
So if I overhear this, I'm going to come walking over and he's saying, and I'm going to interrupt the conversation abruptly and say, well, a nice young man like you, I know you can do a lot of mischief. Marcus, I think this lad can be of use to us yet for tomorrow morning.
Well, he certainly seems like he'd be an excellent scout.
And
as long as it's okay with your mom and pa, after all.
Mr. Penman says, gentlemen, if you need him, that's fine.
Very good.
Well, I guess you're going to be skipping Sunday church after all there, son.
Oh, darn.
All right.
All right. How early do you usually get up, Matthew?
I usually get up way early when the sun comes up so that I can go out fishing.
Makes sense. Well, you can help your pa get us all up at 6:30 in the morning because we're city folk and we sleep late.
Yeah. He says I'll make sure he's up.
All right, off to Hungry Jack's. I'm
All right.
starved.
So you're all going to Hungry Jack's? All right.
Yes.
When you walk through the door of Hungry Jack's, it's in the middle of the dinner rush. The place is not completely filled. There's room for you. But the first thing you notice is that the wait, what's her name? Clearwater. I'm sorry, Nina Clearwater, the wife of the owner, who's acting as waitress. Her and the additional waitress, the girl from town that acts as waitress, they're being run haggard. And you can hear some of the lumberjacks saying, there's something the hell wrong with my bacon. There's something wrong with my biscuits, you know. And Carl in the kitchen is cussing and having all kinds of problems.
I go over to the counter.
I don't want to exaggerate it. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like everything is rotting. But he's having a lot of complaints, which he doesn't usually have.
I'm heading over there anyway because I'd order food. But
Well, y'all can have yourself a seat right over there.
is everything okay?
Oh, it's just busy.
Actually, if there's a room at the counter, I assume there's a diner counter with stools.
Sure.
I want to sit at the counter next to a lumberjack.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll also sit at the counter.
Nina comes over to you and she says, well, gentlemen, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. Some of our food seems to have been spoiled this morning. We are we've got this and we've got this and we've got this and we've got this, but we don't have that. We don't have that. So
Just give me some of that, whatever's available.
Just
You
give
got
me
it.
whatever.
All right. So she's taking your order. Do you want to say anything to her while she's taking your order? Or
What? Because I've heard some other stuff and I've seen like our fish that looks like it, but I knew was fresh earlier on.
Well, we think that the refrigerator must have been on the fritz last night. Seems working fine now, but some of the meat's gone bad.
Some of the meat.
So the lumberjack that I'm sitting next to, I'll just kind of chuck him on the arm and go, you ever hear of anything like this before? That's so strange.
No, this place is it's the best place to eat, but it's practically the only place to eat in the area. No, never had any trouble before. I mean, we're forgiving folk. We know that they're having trouble, but still we're hungry. We've been working all day.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like this ever happening before. Nowhere. That's just very what an odd occurrence.
Well,
Can't seem to recollect any kind of thing like this ever happening.
they've been having this kind of trouble though for a week or so. I think that old Ma got in a bad shipment of something that it's not as fresh as she thought that it was, and it was just on the verge of going. But it's getting worse.
Well, that is unusual. Very unusual. Well, enjoy your coffee.
All right. What do the rest of you want to do other than eat? And the food that you're getting is decent. It's not bad, but it's also oddly things that you would expect would stay good for the longest.
I want to see if I can. Could I? Is it possible? And this sounds odd, but could I check off me at all? Just
It's all been thrown out.
it's all been thrown, so it's all in the trash. I
Garbage.
assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going to go check the garbage.
Yeah.
Now, you know
well,
what I imagine? Now, it's a good question, but I imagine they have to do something. They probably got big metal trash bins because if there are wild animals, they don't want the wild animals scattering it all around. So they must have something like that. I don't know for sure. If you're listening to the show and you know, this is 1923.
I was going to say, this is 1920, whatever it is.
You know, they had sanitation, so.
There's raccoons out here too.
Yeah.
I thought I used to remember
Nice.
how metal garbage cans, the lid would fit on fairly tight, but then sometimes there could be like those little latches that would come up
Right.
and hold the lid down. So I would, at best, I bet that's probably what it is.
Well, if you go out there and look, the trash cans are full,
Yeah.
you know,
And
assuming-
still smelly.
smelly.
I'm assuming if I was to open up the trash cans, it would just look like off meat. Like,
Yeah. The same sort of putrefaction. It just seems like it's old.
this is
Rotten.
it's very odd. Well, I'll go back in and wash my hands very thoroughly,
Okay.
and then sit back down and eat. Finish
All right.
eating.
When I
Taters and canned goods.
when I see Byron come back in, I will call him over to the table where I assume Marcus and Harold are with me, trying to get the team together.
I just give me. I just need to go wash my hands and
All right, you wash your
then
hands.
grab my food.
Yeah, okay.
Then I'll grab my food, take it over to their table, and sit down.
Dr. Coopersmith, you care to join us?
Certainly.
A good time to compare notes. And once we are at the table in kind of a low voice just for them, while we were upstairs in Dr. Baker's room, I did have the opportunity to pick up those bones that he had found, the vertebrae. And it took me a while to realize, but when I picked those things up, they were lighter than what I expected. Hollow, maybe not like the predators that I was expecting. So
More bird-like than.
from it
They
being
weren't-
hollow, being light, I would guess that. But
They actually didn't seem, well, I mean, possibly. You guys don't know this yet because, of course, they didn't know that theropods pretty much evolved into birds. But they just, why don't you go ahead and do an idea roll?
Each of us?
Yeah, the paleontologists.
hard.
I'm having all my horrible rolls tonight.
Well, Professor Hall, you're going over it in your mind. You picked them up. You're holding them in your hands. You didn't really think about it, but they seemed lighter than you'd expect. And the texture the texture feels like bone. You can sort of have the muscle memory of the bones in your hand. And then it starts to creep into your mind. They weren't fossils. They were bone. They weren't
Actual bone,
right.
not
They weren't bone that
not
had been siliconized.
not minerals that replace the bone.
Right. And now you want to see them again because
that was
they were
strange,
dirty,
now
which
that I
made them
think
look
of it.
old. You know, they were dirty because they were in the ground because they looked old, but they didn't feel like old bones.
You know, now that I think about it, I just assumed that they were fossils, but now that I think about it, once I put them down and went downstairs, I seem to have a little dirt on my thumb, which kind of makes me think it came off of the bones themselves and not fossils, not fossilized.
So you're saying that he has some bones in his room that aren't dinosaurs?
Yeah, they
It's
certainly
cow bones, or
yeah, they can't be prehistoric. They can't be dinosaur. They must be some sort of local wildlife, some sort of fauna
But
that
Dr. Bakersmith,
died out there. Could be bear. Who knows?
you saw them as well as I did, and they sure look like dinosaur bones to me. I mean,
Well, to be fair, vertebrae could be just vertebrae. Although the nature is unusual, being so hollow and light.
And
But
there were odd ridges on them that
yeah, the strange ridges,
extended.
difficult to explain, but it could be an exotic animal. Maybe someone imported an animal from Africa and it got loose and died out here. Who knows? But you know, the fossilization process hasn't occurred. If it hasn't been the bone been replaced by mineral and hardened into rock, it's not a fossil.
I think it's worth taking another look at them, and I do not think that Jonathan is going to let us back into the room. And now that I think about it, having found Dr. Rathbore in that little wardrobe, I'm guessing that you let yourself into the room?
You could say that.
just did.
Maybe you could find an opportunity tonight to let yourself in again and bring the bones with you.
Well, I didn't do anything else that you all couldn't do. I just kind of picked the lock. But I will say that now that I picked it once, I'm sure, and I say this in a very low voice, it could be picked again.
I certainly want to have no part of that, nor do I want to have any part of whatever Dr. Baker may be doing. It seems to me that he may be attempting to falsify this find. So this could all be some kind of sham.
Oh, good Lord. So even more reason for us to take a look at those bones.
Yes,
Dr.
to
Cooper
ensure
Smith,
that the scientific method is being followed.
aren't there? I remember reading about that tar pit in California. Didn't they pull stuff out of that wasn't stone, but still from ancient animals?
It would have had a possibly.
Maybe
It would
there's
have
a
had
swamp up here.
It would have had a different preservation method. I actually pull out a baton. It's a piece of petrified wood that I carry with me. It's almost like a size of a nightstick. But
The paleontologists would also know that the La Brea tar pits, they're almost entirely mammals. So they're fairly modern animals. They're not dinosaurs. They were all warm-blooded.
Right, but that wasn't a skull in his room, right? You just said there was a few bones.
yes. Now, see here, this is an example of fossilization.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, what was discovered in his room clearly cannot be a fossil. and
Take
thus
their word for
it can't be anything but something explainable. We just don't know exactly what it is yet. But I would guess it's probably some sort of exotic, light-bodied mammal, or possible fowl from imported from Africa.
This place seems pretty backward. Who knows what's running around in the woods too?
Who knows?
Well, what? How many sites did they find? I know you were mentioning a map or something, but I haven't seen it. How many sites have they got?
Oh, I believe Dr. Rathmore has it. 4, isn't that right, Harold?
Yes, it's 4 sites. And the
So
4th one looks like it's deeper in the woods.
What's the plan with? Are we gonna check them all one by one and head to 4? Or?
Oh no,
Yes.
we're gonna go straight to 4.
The thing
Yes,
is
because going in a numeric order would have been too logical. So we're going to
the
just
thing
go
is-
right to the end.
The
Dr.
thing is,
Rathmore.
Dr. Cooper Smith, if you're suggesting it's a sham, like he could be falsified, maybe it'd be best if we followed along and checked the areas as we went, because we might be able to find some more evidence that can back you up. And if we can
Yep.
prove that he's doing something,
Oh, Byron, why don't you stick to biology? Leave this to the professors.
Doesn't
Remember-
it make? I'm sorry, but if we think that maybe their truck broke down or ran out of gas, shouldn't we be going to find the people first, and then they can show us their bones
Exactly,
and rocks?
Mr.
Yeah.
Zundel. Like I said, I'm more concerned of the party members itself first. Let's confirm
Right.
that they're okay before we start worrying about the dig.
Which means Site 4 is probably the last place where they were actually located.
Correct.
Unless
And-
they were backtracking and then they broke down. But
it could
Well,
be at
if
any
we-
of the sites. That's
If
the
we're
thing.
on our way to Site 4 and they're between Site 3 and 2, we'll hit there. But we're just where the last place we know they might have been.
And Mr. Zundel, if I heard you correctly, Matthew is coming along with us, and he's going to take us point to point. So we will drive by as we get there to Site 4. We're just not going to stop at the other sites unless you catch eye of something.
So it makes
There we
sense
go.
to me.
that sounds fine.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, again, my
You can say
concern
rocket
is
science at
for
this point.
Dr. Baker and his
Rocket science.
That's science fiction.
Weird tales,
Right.
right?
That's right. This is an aviation science.
Aviation science. All right, yeah, I think it's time to turn in and get ready for the journey in the morning.
Something I'd like to interject. None of you could imagine Dr. Baker falsifying data. He's the head of the
It seems
department,
as if it's
and he's extremely meticulous and very ordered.
It would be the furthest thing from my mind. So hopefully he's not being duped. But
Well,
clearly this is not a fossil.
who has the highest intelligence of you guys?
I have an 80 intelligence.
Wow!
90.
Wow!
Even
I just
better.
very low power though. Very low power.
Same here.
I think it's Professor Hall.
So Professor Hall, do an intelligence roll.
Hard.
Okay. As you're mulling this all over in your mind, this is what you recall. You recall that Professor Baker called the university last week, very happy, very excited, and that he requested you and Dr. Coopersmith, but then he also said, bring the archaeologist and bring the biologist.
Which coincides with when he found those vertebrae.
Right, but they wouldn't have anything to do with paleontology.
Yeah, very strange. We should let's get some rest and we'll go and find Dr. Baker in the morning.
See ya.
And I think that's where we'll call it for the evening, unless you have any more
Okay.
questions before we go to bed.
Can be my-
No.
That's
That's
a
good.
good spot to break. Let's see. I'm not going to do the end now. Okay, what do you think about this episode so far? Or is this getting a little more?
Yeah, this was good. The investigation of the rooms was pretty exciting, and the unfolding of the rot that's occurring is it's very interesting. It's difficult to figure out how to follow up on that as a clue, because it feels more like one of those clues where you're just simply a spectator, instead of being able to proactively pursue unusual rot. But I really like the clue with the bones, because I was just assuming that they were actual fossils, but now that it's kind of been revealed that they're actually bone, and they're unusual bone, and so that kind of thing, it makes it very interesting. So
Yeah.
And you're right back to Doctor Who.
Yeah, and what got me on the bones himself was a private conversation with Tom. Because I had handled them, he privately messaged me to have me roll and figure out that they were not very heavy as what I would have expected from fossilized bones.
I actually did the same thing to John, but he failed his roll.
I've had crap rolls all night. I mean, I've been rolling 80s and 90s and everything. And my one paleontology roll, I had to spend 6 luck to make it a success, and I have 70% in paleontology.
Yeah.
So,
But you got the copper light.
yes,
Right.
I did get that.
If it
I knew that was a poo right away. In case you were worried about your graphics, I knew that was a poo.
Now,
kind of
Tom,
wanted it to look a little like a poo.
So was it a requirement for us to pick it up to realize that it was light? Because I don't remember Jay.
Well, if you had said that you were sitting there and you were examining the bones and going over them, you might have had a realization.
So I also have a theory as a player that Coopersmith does not realize yet, is that unusual cold coprolite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that was in the grad student's pocket.
Yeah.
And because it was in his pocket against his thigh, that's what's created the freezer burn on his leg that he was treated for. But I don't think, Coopersmith hasn't been able to put those dots together.
This is my
yet.
poker face.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Unknown comic. Put the bag on your head.
Let's play poker sometime.
Dr. Coopersmith, you were the one that went to Dr. Weiss's office, and you heard the description from the doctor of the injury. So, that might warrant you stopping back to kind of figure out what was the shape of it.
Well, I'm not. I don't think it would have the shape, but as a player, I'm thinking about them carrying that in his pocket. I don't feel like Coopersmith is going to quite put that together just yet, but
yeah,
I think once we get out there, we'll start figuring that out.
So, Tom, one thing for me, when Harold and Phillips, Byron did go up to the room to pick the lock and go inside,
Mm-hmm.
It would be good on your part to establish what's the schedule of the maid for checking in on the rooms, taking care of the rooms, because while we did it at night, it may occur at another time where another group goes in there during maid service and they might be seen entering the room.
I think that, the GM can play with that all he wants. I don't actually have a name listed for the maid. I thought that wait a second. I do. Rebecca Moore, hotel employee maid. That she probably does it after school.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't
know.
really like. It's going to happen during the day. I mean, most maid service
Yeah.
during the day, not evening.
Some aspects of the some minutia details about the hotel I don't think need to be fully fleshed out.
Like the rooms. I talked with Morgan about it. He thinks we should just leave the map of the hotel out. He says it really doesn't serve a purpose other than you to say you're here and you're here.
Right. You could have upstairs and downstairs if people decide to break into the room. That decides whether or not Penman's right behind them or something for dramas.
Yeah, no, if there aren't any mysteries or potential for combat or something at the hotel, I would agree that the hotel is
you don't need to have any maps of anything unless you're in the Shadow over Innsmouth. Then you do, because there's an escape route and everything. And,
and
that's
it's also something that you wouldn't give to the players, because the players don't have a map of the hotel. No. But the GM uses it, but it serves no purpose. So.
But on the flip side, having the map of Baker's dig sites and the path and everything, that's a perfect handout. I think and you're right. My son, because he was for years into dinosaurs, I remember videos, and I would have sworn just from memory that they pronounced it corpulite with the R in front, but I saw it now for the first time. I saw the word in print, and it is coprolite.
Yeah, there's no R in it. Yeah,
there is an R, but it's after the cop.
Oh, coprolite. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's from the Greek. Copria is shit.
But I'm just going from videos that I've watched with my son, and when they've talked about that aspect of
here's an interesting little trivia, which I know because I'm Greek Orthodox. Okay, we celebrate a lot of saints that were martyrs under evil dictator kings that put them to death, whatever. One of those evil dictator kings was, I think it's Constantine II or something like that, who went back to paganism and outlawed Christianity, and had a whole bunch of Christians put to death. So in textbooks, he's often referred to as Constantine Koprianimos, which is shithead. And we actually sing that in church. we refer to him as Koprianimos in church. We're singing shithead in our hymns, which I think is just great.
That's where the Roman Catholics really lost the ball. I have so many fiddly practical ideas because that's my brain. Didn't loggers work in logging camps where they were fed and sheltered?
Yeah, there's probably a logging camp, but they come into town because the food's just
some
right
of them
there.
just right. Some of them have enough money to get out, and I also wonder about a speakeasy, which is totally not relevant, but it just seems like how could there not be someplace they're going for booze in 1923? But that might not be relevant in any way, but it might be interesting as a sideline.
It's on the back of the sheriff's office.
It also might be that in South Dakota, there's nobody policing that. The sheriff doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know.
Right. But somebody's got to make the corn liquor.
I don't know if this scenario would lend for it, but there were a couple of times I tried to kind of open the door for a conversation with an NPC about legends and lore. With Ma Peters, I was like, what's out there in the woods, Oh, at least there's no boogeymen, right? I want, to try and kind of, get that response, or with the logger at the place, I never heard, you ever hear of anything like this before, to see if, spoilage of food might have any kind of legends and lore tie-in. And And so in both cases, it didn't pan out, and that is probably legit, for the thing. But I feel like it probably wasn't an isolated question. I feel like in other games that type of question might come up.
That question does come up, and I did think of that. And one of the problems is I didn't want to mislead you. I didn't want to say, "Oh yeah, the great howling ape of the woods," and you'd be like, like this. That must be a very important part of the story, and it's not. So.
And that's fine, there, because I feel like there is a difference between a red herring that's parallel and a red herring that's perpendicular.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally avoid the perpendicular, but I'm okay with the parallel, because then it's just a misinterpretation. Oh, it's not this; it's actually merges in, it becomes this, and it becomes a single line of thought.
I agree wholeheartedly. I hate red herrings that just take people completely off.
Yep, because
I was worried about the logging camp, because that's going in a completely different direction that has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
No,
I see the loggers, I see the townsfolk as good resources for legends and lore, and
we're considering
info about the area.
We're considering adding a little to the library, and possibly taking out the Gazette, because I worked in a small print shop, and the thing is that most likely in a town like this, you go into the Gazette, there's one guy working there, one guy doing the printing press, and he's probably only there once a week, and they might keep one copy of each thing that they publish, and they stick it on the shelf over there they stick it on the top of the filing cabinets, and the filing cabinets are jammed full of loose stories, and the old things are falling on the floor. They're just a pile of them falling because they don't care. It's like Strawberry Festival last week, and they probably throw half of it away once a year just to clear room, because nothing ever happens in this little town. It's interesting.
Right.
So we might get rid of the Gazette. It just might not be important.
One question for you. It's not necessarily that important, critical, whatever, but in your map display of the various sites to the north, it was good that you showed the two ridges that we had heard of on the first episode. To actually see where they're at was good. But also Matthew coming back from his fishing trip, was he coming back from the north? And if so, show the river.
Yeah.
Likewise, he was described as fishing in the morning, and we saw him coming back from fishing in the mid-afternoon. Does he just?
Well, it was lunchtime that he was coming back.
Oh, so he goes in the morning, comes back with as much fish for dinner as need be, and it's one.
And it was a Saturday, so what's the kid got to do? He does chores, and he goes. Yeah, I kind of envisioned that the just maybe to the west of West Haven, there's probably a creek, a pond, and a creek. But Dr. Baker wouldn't draw that because it's not important to what he's doing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, this is a hand-drawn map, not some kind of state survey.
I hope that it's clear that the last day he was here was on the 12th. They spent the night, and the 13th, he said they were moving to Site 4. So they hadn't gotten to Site 4 yet. He had sort of a tentative place where they were going to go, and that's why the arrow doesn't go all the way there.
It's funny he dated it in advance, though.
Well, it was the 13th when they were at the hotel and going back. So he knew that they were going to move to the next site or choose a next site. He didn't know exactly where it was, but he knew a little bit.
Is a hollow equivalent to a swamp?
No, it's just a place in between, kind of a valley where it's usually got creeks and lots of it's a lot denser forest just because there's a lot more water in that area. But I don't think it's a swamp. A little overgrown.
The only thing that always happens in a hotel room every day when it's cleaned is they empty the trash. So there's no way his crumpled note would be in the trash bin.
Maybe they weren't going in those rooms. I don't know. That's a good question.
It's
maybe
just
it
so
could be
minor, but
awesome.
it's just the sort of thing. Again, I'm like, I think like an Agatha Christie reader, I'm like, but that makes no sense, even if it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, and what I was originally looking for was if there was a notepad on the desk, then I would have looked to see if there was an imprint, and then I would have done the etching to see if I could read through.
Just like in The Big Lebowski.
Well, I thought about that too. I don't think there would be a pad, but there would be other pieces of stationery. There might be an indent in the topper that's on the desk for writing on.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have been the note, the blotter. There you go.
It could just simply be in a desk drawer.
Yeah.
Right, which would probably not be looked in a place like this at all.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
he could have been writing it out, opted not to turn it, but he could be on the fence. Do I turn this in? Maybe I don't. You know what? I'm going to put it in this drawer. I'm just going to wait and make a decision later on it. You know?
But there is a hidden clue there.
Yeah, the abrupt ending. Yeah.
Missed.
Well, again, it could. My interpretation of it was, as he was writing it, he had a change of heart, a change of ideas, and that's why he kind of crumpled it up and threw it away to rewrite it.
Then, yeah, because of the trash can thing, because I thought of the same thing about the trash can being emptied. Maybe the paper has slipped behind the desk, and it's actually vertical behind a table leg in the wall or something, and it takes a spot hidden to notice it and go, what is this? You know?
Well,
Yeah, but again, why would it be?
he
that
definitely
big?
crumpled it up and threw it away.
Yeah,
Okay.
or else
Maybe.
somebody crumpled it up.
Maybe something else. Maybe there's another way we can bring it into the story, not necessarily because if they empty the trash can, which they probably would, maybe there's another way of finding out about it.
In any case, it's in the trash can. Get there. So,
Yeah.
And that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But ponder it, and it might make some sense, especially when you look at the map. Hint, hint, hint. I don't know if that's. But anyways, that's probably where I should end the episode before I start blathering and saying something that I shouldn't. Our players included John Hook, Bill Rickle, Josh Harwood, because I'm thinking about the stupid piece of paper crumpled. Our players included John Hook, Bill Rickle, Josh Harwood, David Gassaway, and Hari Shro, with yours truly as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.